There are some men, no matter how much you bend and rule, the way they are is how they are. And so there is really nothing you can do in that entire dynamic to get the man to see that this way you are doing is not going to help me go. It's not going to help us go. This marriage is not going to work if we keep going like that. There's a point of a man where he's being a leader and he's trying to lead. That's one. Number two, there are people that are not even trying to lead. They are trying to rule. They are two different things. For the people that are trying to lead, one of the problems that they often face, because they are trying to do something, they are not communicating. So the other person doesn't know what you are trying to do. So you can see, even though you have good intentions, in terms of execution, there's no communication. So how will the person know that this is your plan, this is what you're trying to do? So the person can come along with you. Women, what we hear is very important to us. And because there's already this dynamic between men communicate, how women communicate, there's already that discrepancy. When we don't even now learn to now break it down into, okay, now this is the English we are speaking, but this is the Yoruba we are speaking, so that everybody can be on the same wavelength and language wavelength, then it now becomes even harder for me to understand what you are trying to do. So while your intention is right, the execution still needs to be tweaked. You have to be able to say, okay, this is what it is, this is what I'm trying to do, give me 3 months, I may try, I may fail, but this is what I'm trying to do. Then the person understands that. But from the other person's perspective, when the person sees certain things, because there's been no communication that's gone before it, interpretation can mean anything. A Christian, if you are speaking in tongues and you call someone randomly, come and interpret, the person can say what you are not saying. Do you get? It takes somebody that also understands, that has a gift of interpretation, to be able to understand exactly what it is that you're saying. And so for people that are trying to lead, the problem there is just that you are not communicating what you are trying to do. So it is causing issues. That's one. Then we now have those that are trying to rule, those that are trying to dominate. And for those people, there's no fair game. It's just subjugation. That's what it is. As long as you cower, as long as I can now press you down or press you, then I've achieved my goal. It's the person's own selfishness that's at play, not the good of us. So for people that are trying to lead, leadership without communication will always lead to misunderstanding. So for as long as we don't learn to communicate, we work on assumption, and everybody's working on assumption from what? Their past hurts, their past trauma. This morning I was thinking to myself, so there's this thing that happens with me, I've noticed of late, that I can just be sitting and notice I'm like this, and I'm like, calm down. I'll now calm down. And I realized that trauma over time has made me very responsive. So my body language is like this. Then I'm like, it can calm down. So we are always tensed. Imagine me that I've gone through different kinds of trauma. Then me, I now meet you. You've been through different kinds of breakfast, different kinds of trauma. Then we now meet. We now say that we want to start dating. My body language trauma and your own will just be clashing and just be having different kinds of bouts. Not because in our heart of hearts we don't have good intention, but because there are things that are already working against us. So it takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of me communicating. When you do something and then I react and then you react, and so that's not what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do was, and that's where vulnerability comes in. What I was trying to say was, and that's where vulnerability comes in. But many times we don't get to that place of let's communicate, let's be vulnerable. So you understand where I'm coming from, you understand where I'm coming from, and then we can both realize, okay, next time when I do, let's just say, calm down. You should calm down. Okay, can we now continue to revisit this later? That kind of thing. But there's no intention with the communication. So we always come to the place where my body language of fear and trauma and all that is coming against your own, and then we are now, oh, that's when I said this, his face went, his body went, and then we are now giving meaning to things that have different meanings entirely. You yourself, you don't even know what your body is doing. I was watching a lady last night and she was talking to somebody, and that she was enjoying the conversation with the person. But when she came to herself, she realized that her body language was sort of like away, sitting away from the guy, and she really enjoyed the guy. She said after that day, that guy never called her back, but she really enjoyed, and she wondered if her body language told this person that I don't like you, I don't want it. And that's why she started paying attention to how her body language was actually communicating. In communication, there are 3 major things to pay attention to: body language, words, and intonation. That's basically how the words come out. You can say the same thing in different ways. You are mad. You are mad. You are mad. They mean different things. See what you mentioned. For context, we grew up with a mother that was widowed early. If somebody grew up with a father that was abusive and very, very aggressive, and then you said you are mad to the person, however you said it, maybe because she had heard the father tell the mother over time, when you say it to her, and then she like, what do you mean you are mad? And then that entire thing just starts. Guess what? She's not the one that is speaking. It's her trauma. It's what she's been through that is speaking. So we don't really sit down to process a lot of things, and that's why there's a lot of assumption and clash and this this and that and that. But that's why intentionality and vulnerability is really, really important in communicating. And if both people realize we want to make this relationship work, how do we sit down to actually intentionally communicate, to say, this is what I mean and this is where I'm coming from? What do you mean where I'm coming from? Okay, next time, how do we approach this thing so it doesn't become like our pattern? How do we create a new pattern for ourselves? So that's why I said that a lot of men are not, they've seen bad models, they have wrong friendships, and they've not educated themselves. And with these three things in mind, you now come to a marriage and then you are now trying to communicate with another lady that is speaking a different language, that has her own trauma, that things that men want to finish her already, so she's trying to protect herself. See all these things that are working against themselves. But guess what? The thing about women is that, especially if she really wants to make that marriage work, she will do everything to let me do this, and she'll keep bending and bending and bending. Sometimes it's good for the marriage if it is all going whatever. There are men that they're not exactly rulers, they just don't know better. So when the woman keeps doing that, because they know how to learn and adapt, they start changing, and then for them it now becomes the goal is to make this marriage work. A woman can actually help a man, lead into that form. But there are some men, no matter how much you bend and rule, the way they are is how they are. And so there is really nothing you can do in that entire dynamic to get the man to see that this way you're doing is not going to help me grow, it's not going to help us grow, this marriage is not going to work if we keep going like this. And knowing that in most cases, and maybe because I heard this person, that person, there's a lot of conversations. Like imagine someone telling you that you're married to someone and all of a sudden you discover that this person has relocated without you. Who does that? How do you relocate and not tell your wife you're relocating? You told her you're going for something. Like there's just a lot of funny things going on. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, if the man truly wants that marriage to work, that okay, we're trying to build a safe haven for our kids, we're trying to build legacy, we're trying to do something that is intentional, because the marriage is actually the bedrock of the nation. We talk about Nigeria, the problems in Nigeria, but if the family can actually be fixed, then we can also fix Nigeria. So like 100%. If it's a case of, as a man, my intention is to make sure that this marriage works. Now let me bring the other side to it.
This particular conversation is uploaded as a series on my profile, so you can check the playlist on my profile that is tagged KY's Pod for the rest of the series.